Wait a minute.
I thought I was playing your part tonight.
I thought I was playing your part.
Well,
this is altitude adjustment.
Hey, feel I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that's a stick up.
Bree Maestas arguably has never looked better in her entire life, and I don't know what it is, Bree.
I couldn't tell you. Thanks.
I'm glad that you finally dressed yourself up a little bit for one of my shows.
One of us is going to need to change.
David would like to know who's playing Coach Pat. Coach Pat will be playing Coach Pat as soon as Coach Pat joins us. He is on baby duty right now, so as soon as Patrick is free, he will be playing the role of Coach Pat. Bree, something that I just found out moments before the show. No, it's not necessarily the Luke Wattenberg contract extension, although we will get to that. No, what I just found out just before the show, Bree, is that the Denver Broncos are the best team in the AFC, and every other team in the AFC sucks. Thoughts?
I mean, that is a bold way to start the program. They are in a position though where they can make these middle of the season. I can't do this seriously. They are in a position where they can make these middle of the season extensions and re-sign their center. And I think that puts them in the position for continuity moving forward. I think at first I was a little shocked because I thought possibly they would go with a 1 to 2 year. But what this tells me is that the organization is ready to continue to build from within. Sean Payton is putting his money where his mouth is, and so is the Walton Penner Group. And they're going to have a lot of contracts that are upcoming as far as free agents are concerned that they're going to have to shore up, specifically on the defense. So this one is surprising, I guess, but it makes a lot of sense, especially when you're leaning into Bo Nix being the guy, needing that stability, knowing that Wattenberg contributes to the run game so sufficiently. And I think that in general, finding a starting center is really difficult in the NFL. So if you think you have one, you got to grab on and make sure that he's paid and taken care of. So that's my takeaway from this news that we've been graced with here.
You kind of took it in the opposite direction, which is fine because I was more talking about the Broncos in general. And the only reason that I'm moderately upset that you did that is because we have a graphic.
I'm new here. I don't work here.
We've done this segment a lot. And I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't watch film the way that Coach Pat does. I'm not able to break down the snaps from a center and what he's supposed to do and what he does well and what he doesn't do well. I leave that to Coach Pat. So inherently, my Luke Wattenberg opinion is based almost solely on the opinion of Patrick Chiodo. Based on that, I never thought that would be a reason for the graphic. But never has there been a more apropos time to use the graphic. It's almost like somebody put together that graphic knowing full well that the team would extend Luke Wattenberg at some point during the season. And if you're curious as to who put together that beautiful graphic, it was obviously me because I'm too cheap to pay the $4 or whatever it is to have Render Forest removed from the actual title. So I don't pay anything and still predict the future is really what I'm gathering.
You can gloss it however you feel, Mario. I think you were absolutely on par when you thought about that. You were way ahead of the curve when you thought about starting this segment because it was all leading up to this contract. Patrick can come in and he can talk more about it because I'm sure he has words and thoughts and feelings and etc. I didn't mean to throw you off your game. Simply, I heard you mention it, and so I thought we were diving right into it. But the state of the Broncos as a whole, are you kidding me? Like, we're at a point in the fandom, the analysis, the fan analysis, wherever you want to put yourself on the map, of being able to talk about a 9-2 football team that's getting healthy through the bye week, just beat the Chiefs, and has one of the craziest setup schedules to bode well for number one in the AFC when it's all said and done. I think that's a pretty great spot to be in. And I'm really excited that we get to talk about a team that's in these circumstances. I will say it allows us to be very nitpicky when it comes to certain things, right? Because our topic of the day is not when will they find a franchise quarterback. It's more of a what else can they do to take this team to the next level, right?
It's finally fun to do a Broncos show in Broncos country. Because for the last 10 years, and I haven't been doing it for 10 years, obviously, even though I've been in this space for a much longer time than that, there's not been a lot to celebrate. There's not been a lot to discuss. And you're right. It's always been, what are we going to do about the head coach? Because it was a revolving door of head coaches. What are we going to do about the quarterback position? You remember the time when we thought we were a quarterback away from being a true contender? So we traded the farm for Russell Wilson, and I think we all remember how that panned out. We had to endure Nathaniel Hackett. We had to endure apparently the only time in Joe Flacco's career that he wasn't fantastic. Like, okay. We had to endure Case Keenum because we were sold a bill of goods that Case Keenum was going to resurrect the franchise. We all believed in Drew Lock, and a small part of me still does, Bree. Like, I still hold on to the slim fact that if Drew Lock is just put in a good situation, he can be a successful quarterback. Now, not a big part of me. Keep in mind, like, more of me thinks that Tupac is still alive than thinks that Drew Lock is still a serviceable NFL quarterback. But the bottom line is that number is not zero. Now, we have gone through the ringer. And I'm glad that you brought up the fact that we could be nitpicky, because that's kind of been the theme, like the general theme, aside from unhinged chaos on altitude adjustment, is we know this team can be a contender. So we're going to pick out these little things. Honestly, hence the Wattenberg title. If we are able to nitpick the center's play to the point where he gets his own graphic, you probably have it pretty good. And so I want to expand on that, because the comment that I made was that every other team in the AFC sucks. So before Pat gets here, I'm just going to run through the gauntlet really quick of teams that are considered contenders in the AFC. Let's just start with the Chiefs and get them out of the way. We beat them, didn't have our best offensive player, didn't have our best defensive player. Refs tried to screw us over. Broncos still won. Next, it's not even close. The Indianapolis Colts, who admittedly the Broncos lost to in week 2, but it was because of a terrible call that happens every single week and is never called. And we, I think, are starting to see Danny Dimes fall apart at the seams. I think he's a serviceable quarterback. I don't think that he's a franchise guy, and I think the Colts are going to have a really difficult decision, because it's almost the Brock Purdy conundrum. He's playing well enough to justify an extension, but I think he's going to get more money than he's worth. And Bree, we saw the same thing in New York. He had one
history repeats itself.
Took him to the playoffs. I think they might have won a playoff game, actually. Gets a big fat contract, completely disappears into obscurity. History repeating itself, exactly like you said. So I don't buy into the Colts. I think if the Broncos play that team again, that it's not remotely close. Houston is kind of around. We beat them in Houston without Patrick Surtain. Next, you're looking at the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are like this really obscure team. Like, Josh Allen probably is the best player in the world right now, the best football player. The defense is suspect. They just signed Brandon Cooks because they've been benching Keon Coleman, which means they have no serviceable options at wide receiver. That team does not scare me. The Baltimore Ravens, off to a horrible start. They've won games, but they haven't been the Ravens that we've seen in the last couple of years. So if they're not even holding that standard, Bree, of what they've been able to do the past few years just to ultimately choke in the playoffs, then I'm definitely not worried about the Ravens, because they're not dominating teams, which means that if they find their way into the playoffs, then they're ultimately going to choke. And then the last team that I think that you could make an argument for is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, this is maybe the weirdest team in the entire NFL, because one week they will look really good. They beat up on the Chiefs, they beat up on the Chargers, and then another week they'll look terrible. So I can't really figure out that team, but I'm just going to defer to the fact that it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Broncos seem to have had their number for as long as they've been a franchise, aside from the playoff game in 1996, but we won't focus too much on that. Aside from that, the Jags will never scare me, have never scared me. And that's pretty much all of the quote unquote contenders coming out of the AFC. Oh, no, I forgot about the Patriots. You know why? Because everybody forgets about the Patriots. They are riding high, and I understand the irony in this, but they're beating teams that are not that good. But if you need a reason why I do not believe the Patriots are for real, it's because they lost to the Raiders. Don't care that it was the first week of the season. They still lost to the Raiders. No serious team is losing to the Raiders. And I'm realizing as I say that, Bree, that we have to play them one more time. And I'm writing a check with my mouth that I hope the team can cash, because then we can look back on this and think that it's really awkward. But I'm not a big believer in the Patriots. You know, I think they're riding high on a rookie coach. I really like Vrabel. Drake May is an MVP candidate. And they've kind of like stitched together this defense that's against all odds working. And it just feels like the other shoe's going to drop eventually in New England. So now that we have covered all of the contenders, I think it's safe to say that the Broncos are far and away the best option in the AFC.
Firstly, who the hell is we? Second of all, what I love most about this podcast is that nobody needs to put it in 1.5 or 2 times speed, because like you're just quick. Like they are already getting all the information as quickly as possible.
To get the thoughts out as they come into my head. That's why I say so many inappropriate things. There's no filter. That's why I hurt so many feelings on here.
Oh, no, it's good. And you know what? That says more about the people who get their feelings hurt than it says about you.
They're soft.
There was a lot. I think your general statement, though, is very appropriate. I think that there's a lot of people are going to have something to say about it, as the Broncos are the worst 9-2 team that anyone has ever seen. And those are not my words. Those are everybody else's words, right? Like that is the narrative that is going around right now. I got to say, it feels really good to be in that position. I think I'll take 9-2 and be the worst 9-2 team if it means that they're winning. And then at the end of the day, there's a lot of teams that also kind of fit in that narrative. What I think is the fun part of it is there's a lot of matchups that could happen depending on where the Broncos fall as far as seeding goes. But I won't get too heady with that conversation. I'll just mimic what you had to say. And I'll say, yeah, Chiefs not in a great spot. Do I want to face them 3 times? Probably not. The Broncos still have to play the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Chargers. And yes, Mario, I think you are. I don't think it's inappropriate per se. I think that it is early to do so, because the NFL has this very weird magical voodoo way of taking everything back to the mean, and like you can't possibly win out, can you? You got to drop a game. I just don't. Is it going to be the Jaguars? Is it going to be the Packers? Is it going to be the Commanders? Could potentially be the Chiefs on Christmas Day. But those teams in general aren't necessarily scaring me. If you look at the Jaguars at 7-4, I don't know if that's typically a team that I'm going to be shaking in my boots about. Now they're, getting Jacoby Myers in the loss of Travis Hunter. You still have to combat the Trevor Lawrence part of the equation. And the formulaic response to that is he is such a roller coaster of a quarterback. I could potentially see him just throwing a ton of interceptions because he's shaken by this vaunted Denver defense. And then there's a ton of other names in there. The Ravens being able to do Ravens-like things. I think the Colts are definitively a team that I'm not necessarily scared of, but I do think they have Jonathan Taylor, which sets them apart. But you talked about history repeating itself. You talked about what Daniel Jones had previously with the Giants and how they squandered that away by refusing to sign the one piece that really made Daniel Jones who Daniel Jones is. Now he's coming up on that second opportunity for an extension, and he's got, newsflash, Jonathan Taylor. So it's like, are they going to do it again? Are they going to overpay Daniel Jones? Like, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that the Colts aren't doing great things offensively, but it is kind of one one-dimensional. It's only going to carry them so far. Teams are going to try to take that away as much as possible. I don't know how you stop Jonathan Taylor, so there is a question mark of how far can they go. But when you couple the Broncos' remaining schedule for what the AFC is, I like their chances. I like them being a question mark, and I like their possibility of finishing out. Maybe the ceiling is they drop 2. They drop 1 or 2 games in the remainder of the season. It's really hard to sweep your division, even if it is the Chiefs and the Raiders, and you never know quite what's going to happen in the last game of the season. So yeah, Mario, the rest of the AFC, get wrecked. The Broncos are going to be the top seed when all is said and done.
Yeah. Honestly, Bree, I think my favorite part about where this team is at right now in general is, for the first time, their fate is in their own hands. They will go as far as they want. They don't need to rely on certain teams winning. They don't need to rely on certain teams losing. They themselves just need to win. And you had mentioned the upcoming schedule, so we can talk about that. Really quick. We'll run through it and just give a little bit of a projection. Obviously, they have the Commanders coming up on Sunday night. Why they didn't flex that game out of Sunday Night Football and replace it with Colts Texans, I have no idea. I think that Colts Texans game has way more implications. And this is at a point when the league knew that Jaden Daniels was not playing. Because it's like, if you're, regardless of the records, if you're getting Jaden Daniels versus Bo Nix, the 2 guys that were the best rookie quarterbacks from that class last year, then it's cinema, and you absolutely should. But the fact that he's not even playing, it's bizarre to me that they're still keeping that Sunday night game. And I think that Colts Texans game is one to keep an eye on, because as a Bronco fan, and if you're watching this as a Broncos fan, you also need to know the teams that you need to root for going forward. And not for our benefit, but more for the lack of benefit for the Kansas City Chiefs. If you are a true fan, and I will die on this hill, you were rooting against the Chiefs last Sunday against the Indianapolis Colts, and you were bummed that the Chiefs ended up beating the Colts, because I'm a lot less worried about seeding and whether or not, like, the Colts are not going to win out. They have a really tough remaining schedule. They can lose games elsewhere. I am more worried about the Kansas City Chiefs. And the thing is, like, we've seen it year after year after year. I think 9 straight years we've seen them win the division. And I think, 7 straight years they played in the AFC Championship game. Everybody should be sick of it. Like, of course, Bronco fans, but the entire league should be. So you should be rooting for the teams that could potentially knock the Chiefs out of the playoffs. So the Chiefs have the Texans coming up. You're obviously rooting for the Texans. You hope that maybe the Cowboys, who look reinvigorated at this point after the trade deadline, can maybe hand the Chiefs a loss. But you're rooting for the Jags because they have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs if you're assuming that the Colts win that division, and you want them to, because as the wild card team, the Jags have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs, as do the Bills if the Patriots end up winning that division. So then you're basically needing one more team to potentially knock them out. And if we're assuming that the Ravens are going to win their division, which it seems like they're trending to do, then it's either the Steelers or it's the Texans. And then you want, so by that logic, Bree, you're wanting the Texans to beat the Colts, and you're obviously wanting them to beat the Chiefs, and you're also rooting for the Steelers as it goes along. Bottom line is, we don't want the Chiefs anywhere near the playoffs, because as I've said, the last 9 years, not last 7 years specifically, they get help in the playoffs. We saw it firsthand. They got a lot of help in Denver, and it still wasn't enough. And it doesn't matter that the Chiefs are 6-5 right now. It doesn't matter that the Broncos beat them. It doesn't matter that the Broncos look like the superior team, because, again, the Broncos were able to beat them without a J.K. Dobbins, without an Alex Singleton, without a Patrick Surtain. And I guess you could also say, like, with Marvin Mims just returning from injury. So that doesn't scare you in the moment, but they're a different beast in the playoffs. Not because of Patrick Mahomes, not because of Travis Kelce, not because of Andy Reid, but because the league desperately wants to get that Taylor Swift bump for as long as Travis Kelce is in the league. And if you think that that doesn't exist, then you haven't been paying attention. Because my wife is a Swiftie, and she started paying more attention to the NFL when she realized that she and Travis Kelce were dating. She has a plethora of friends who could not care less about football, who became fans of the NFL and became Chiefs fans by proxy because of Taylor Swift. And if you're also going to ignore the millions upon potentially billions of dollars that were funneled into the NFL as a direct result of Taylor Swift being involved with an NFL player, then you need to get your brain checked because there is obviously some sort of correlation. And at the end of the day, Bree, the only thing that matters in the NFL is money. It's the reason why a guy will do 2 pumps and he'll be fined $15,000. Well, where's that money go? Who's lining their pockets? Because you know that they're not giving it to charity. Because if they did, then they would be constantly in your face shoving it about how much money the NFL gives to charity. Money is everything to the league. It's why Thursday night football exists. It's why they play on Wednesdays during Christmas sometimes. It's why they'll play on Fridays sometimes. It's why they dominate pretty much every day of the week. It's all about money. And if you don't think that there is a boost of money the further that the Chiefs go in the playoffs, then I guess you just need to wake up. Like, if that's really what you think, then you're clearly the kind of person who, where you were in class, like in elementary school, and the teacher was handing back their tests, the teacher handed yours face down because it was an embarrassing test score. That's the kind of person that you are.
I know you're looking for a response from me, but my first initial thought was like, I need to go look at the Kansas City Chiefs fanatics and see if they have Taylor Swift gear, which I'm terrified to do so because I hate this conversation more than I hate most things. I don't want to care. I think I could care less. I'm not at the couldn't care less. Hi. I as I'm sitting here, I'm like, what position do I want to take on this conversation that has been going on for far too long? I hope the legitimacy of their everlasting love lasts for long enough for both of them to make a ton of albums and commercials and money off of their nuptials and whatever. Like, you're right. It's all, at the end of the day, it's all
do it
about,
away from football now, right?
it's all about Monday. I would love to. If Travis Kelce is supremely thinking of retiring, it will be twofold, in which I will celebrate and ultimately throw a party for, because then I no longer have to hear it. And I'm not even the kind of person who's like, keep your personal life out of football. It's just the lengths of which it has become such a problem, and the fact that there's like Swifties fighting NFL fans and like, please do not come for me. I'm not talking down about it. I just think, like, why is this now a part of the sport that I love so much? I'm not quite sure, but it's fine. Like what you like. Let's just be a little respectful about it, I guess.
That's all. All right, Bree, let's get back into like actual tangible football talk. So I had this graphic made, and this is really just an excuse to use this graphic because I haven't been able to use it in a long time, and it is one of my favorites. We were discussing the minor tweaks and the minor details of this team, right? That we can nitpick about things because of where they are and because we want them to go from a 7 seed that sneaks into the playoffs to like a legit contender. And when we said that earlier in the season, it almost felt surreal, right? Like we were drinking the orange and blue Kool-Aid and we were just like fanboying and fangirling out. But now it's an actual possibility. So what I want to know is what hole, no matter how small, you would want to fill. So as we look at this 9-and football team coming off of a bye week, what hole do they need to fill, Bree? And by that, I mean, where do they need to improve in your mind the most in order to like really solidify themselves as a legitimate contender? Because as you said earlier, plenty of these national pundits and people that have opinions that really probably shouldn't be sharing them, their thoughts on the Broncos are quite clear, and there's a lot of disrespect, and it's fine. Like, it shouldn't bother us, but it does. So in order to shut up those critics or to prove them wrong, what needs to happen?
Oh gosh. Probably the same thing that we've been clamoring for all season, which is a run game. Now, Mario, we had a really interesting conversation that I continuously keep calling back on. Brown Panda 8320 with a $10 super chat, which is specifically because I am on the show tonight. So Mario, thank you. I expect 20% before I leave tonight. Said, I just want the offense to improve the time of possession at this point.
Your $2 is in the mail.
Thank you. I hope it's a check that costs me money to then cash. Brown Panda
Oh, absolutely.
8320. I think that is a great
Thank you
point.
so much, Brown Panda 8320. We appreciate you listening and watching, and thank you for your contribution. That's awesome.
That is awesome, and we really appreciate the comment, because saying that you want the offense to improve time of possession also comes into the state of not tiring out your defense, right? So it's part and parcel of playing some clean 3 phases of football and making sure your defense is happy, making sure that you are doing everything possible to take away from other teams, especially when it comes to opponents that you don't necessarily want to play down to. But I think there's a couple of things that fall in line with that, which fall into the realm of, some of the self-inflicted mistakes that we've seen with penalties, with early downs, not being able to convert on third, and then kind of the frustrating avenue of hit or miss when it comes to the turnover differential, right? The Broncos are kind of lagging behind when it comes to the defense getting those momentum swinging turnovers. And I'd like to see those ramp up, which I think, is perfect timing for a Patrick Surtain to come back and really invigorate that secondary to make it. But it's like it's right there. Barron had one, it gets called back. McMillan, Talanoa-Hufunga's right there in order to do so. I'd really love to see that just kind of start hitting, because I know I've mentioned to Mario before that just ramps up this defense, takes them to the next elite level. But Mario, I think we were talking about the run game and kind of, or to fill a hole, right? We're filling the gap. Well, you got to hit the gap there with the run game. And I think having J.K. Dobbins go down really leaves a larger question mark on something that the Broncos were still kind of failing to lean into. I don't think it was necessarily a scope of they don't want to run the ball, but I think what Sean Payton has to manage and what he has to balance with Bo Nix is finding ideal circumstances to make sure that he is producing efficiently and in ways that he's not going to get disappointed by his receivers dropping targets. So David Talks Broncos with the $2 super chat said, we need a field stretcher that can catch equals A.T. Perry. Listen, David,
it
at this point,
I think an episode of Altitude Adjustment if David did not force feed us A.T. Perry.
He is literally force feeding you the concept that AT, maybe does he have butterfingers? Does he have issues with the ball? Does he have an opportunity to alligator it all the time and just let it pop out of hands? I don't know. We haven't seen it because it's Bigfoot at this point. It doesn't actually exist. I think it was like a nod to fair ado and say, have a great career, A.T. Perry. I keep getting off task. My big thing is they need to be able to fill the run game. And ultimately what it's going to come down to is leaning into what each of your cogs do well and putting that piece together so it's all functioning very properly, which includes leaning in Bo Nix. And I mentioned this earlier today. I swear to God, I've been talking about the Broncos for like the last 6 hours. I'm tired and I can't remember what I said where, but the idea that you are slotting in a run game now falls on Bo's shoulders a little bit. RJ Harvey isn't there where he can take over the output in which you were seeing with J.K. Dobbins. That'll come with time as you continue to lean in on it. But I think Bo Nix has to use his legs more. And I think Sean Payton has to give him the confidence and the poise and like maybe even just give him a gentle nod. Like, yeah, man, you can do this. He does it with Will Lutz. Like, pour into Bo Nix and give him the ability to make those types of moves. Is that it, Mike Carmelini?
That we have ever, yeah, maybe the best super chat that we have ever gotten. Mike spending $5. Thank you, Mike. We love you. We love everything that you do, including this. I'm sorry, not $5, $4.99. I don't know why you didn't just round up. Mike's kind of weird, but that's fine. But yeah, spending almost $5 to tell David to shut up. Worth it.
That was the message, right? Like, and he felt like that was the how much it was worth to him. And at the end of the day, isn't that the worth of anything? What someone else is willing to spend? Like, it was worth it to him to spend $4.99, not $5 though. Do not make Mike spend $5 to tell you to shut up. It is not going to be a good result. But yes, Mario, I think you should take the reins and tell me, do you agree with the run game being where they really need to fill a hole here on the Denver Broncos roster?
Yeah, well, here's the good part about the holes that need to be filled. There are no gaping holes. There are a lot of small holes because if there's one kind of hole that you don't want to fill, it's a gaping one. Because ultimately you're not going to be able to fill it and you're going to be really disappointed when you're unable to fill said hole. And if there was ever a hole that needed to be filled, it is anytime that Patrick Quixote is not on altitude adjustment. So, really quick, why don't we fill the most gaping hole in the best way that we know how? Because nobody fills a gaping hole quite like Patrick Quixote.
What
Hi,
the
Pat.
fuck did I just walk into? What
We're
the
filling holes.
fuck?
I don't know why this happened to you. I don't know why this happened to me. I don't understand why this is.
It's not a gaping hole. It's
Not anymore because it was filled by Patrick Quixote.
Yeah.
Just filled it right on
right.
up to the top.
All right. So I'm assuming that we've already covered the contract.
Watch. Ladies and gentlemen, that is an altitude adjustment record 2 times that we've used the Wattenberg watch graphic. Yes, Pat, we led off with the show and said as soon as you joined, we would kick it over to you to share what I'm sure are some very leveled thoughts when it comes to the Wattenberg extension.
Oh man. First of all, David Talk Sports. Yes, I will. But I'm going to be honest. I'm a father. Okay. I lose track of things very easily. Okay. So remind me again. Second of all, wow. Like when I saw that they were initially talking to him about an extension, I was like, fuck. Like, but then, Zach Seegers actually said something that kind of, it made a little more sense. It was like, the market with draft class, like maybe they're just not all that impressed. And honestly, the contract value, honestly, the contract value, 12 million a year over 4 years. And yeah, I can live with that. Right. 4 years. Essentially what Zach said, it was like a 225, which all things considered, that's not terrible. My problem is that's the best we could do. Like this is what we're settling for. I don't know.
So let me ask you this, Pat. Let me ask you this.
I don't love it.
What option would you have wanted to explore in the 2026 season? Like a Connor Lew, Jake Slaughter? Did you have your eyes in free agency?
I mean, there was a couple guys. Like obviously the Tyler Linderbaum thing, I think maybe they just they were like, yeah, it's not going to happen. Like that's way over.
Like they didn't want to have to rely on that.
Yeah, and he's going to be a free agent, and you kind of you want to make sure that you don't lose something, which is fine. They could still end up drafting a center, and then go in that direction, which I think maybe they should. Okay, because there are some guys in this class that make a ton of sense. Right. Connor Lew is one of those people, but like Jake Slaughter is another guy. There's some other ones that I think they should have their eyes on. And it's not so much because of those guys are going to come in and be immediate upgrades. We've kind of seen how this is going to work. They're going to draft guys, they're going to develop them for a year or two, and then they're going to start. Is maintaining continuity in the line worth the reach and price? I'm going to say for now, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes because the more that these guys play together, obviously, the more they'll see things and try to work on things. As an individual player, though, and this is the most critical position along the offensive line. As an individual player, and I have seen so many comments and tweets saying like, "Oh, he's actually really good. He's actually really solid." What is your bar? Like that's my thing. Is like, what is your bar for good center play? Because if we're talking about like the bar, no, he hasn't been good. It's like, has his play improved? Like his play improved? Sure, absolutely. But where's the bar?
That was a low bar.
He is at best an average starting center in the league, and that's fine. Can they win with that? Sure, absolutely. But again, this is Sean Payton we're talking about. And Sean Payton is the same guy who shipped Jimmy Graham off to Seattle for who? Remind me again, for who?
I don't
Does anybody
remember.
know? Max Unger.
No.
The Seattle Seahawks starting center. Max Unger, who was a Pro Bowl, All-Pro type of center. Maybe not All-Pro, but he was really good. Okay. The point is, if they need it, they'll go find it. Right now, with the way the market is, and maybe they don't like the guys in the draft, or maybe they do, and they're just looking at stock, I think keeping him for now is the right move. But here's the caveat. If I'm Streef and I'm Payton and I'm Sean Payton, I'm saying, we're going to give you this contract, but you need to tighten shit up. Like, there's a reason he's not getting 17, 18, 20 million. There's a reason it's not so high. It is it's a team-friendly deal. And probably one that they can get out of. So is it worth it? Sure. Can they get out of that contract? Probably, if they want to go in a different direction. But yeah, I think yes, it's worth it for now. We'll see if the play on the field improves.
So Pat, when you joined us, really quick, since we're on this topic before we segue, I think it's important to keep in mind that now that center isn't going to be a glaring need, and we have all of these draft picks, instead of taking a center, Connor Lew or Jake Slaughter in the second round, perhaps that is one of the picks that they move in order to trade up to draft who, Patrick, in the first round.
There's no one else.
2026.
There's no one else I'm
draft.
moving up for. There's no one else I'm moving up for other than Kenyon Sadiq. That is the only guy I'm moving up for. That is the only person I'm
perhaps
moving
this
up
is
for.
all a chess, not checkers move, Patrick, to make sure that they can go up and get Kenyon Sadiq, who would automatically make this the best offense in the entire NFL. Go ahead and cut the film if you don't believe me. The holes that we were filling, Pat, when you joined the show, we were discussing basically the holes of the team. And I told Bree the theme of our entire show has been we're nitpicky because we have high standards. And even though the team was winning and they're on this incredible win streak, they're 9-2 leading the AFC West, it's okay to want more and it's okay to expect more because our expectation now is that this is a Super Bowl contender. They are playing like the best team in the AFC. And if you don't believe me, go look at the result of the last 7 football games that they have played. If you want to make everybody more comfortable about this team being a legit contender, what holes do they have that you would fill?
Right now, I mean, the biggest one is running back. The biggest one for me is running back. And I think, Bree, you agree with that statement because J.K. Dobbins was that good. He's not getting a ton of touches, which is kind of nuts. Imagine if he was getting 25 to 30 carry a game workload. Good Lord. But that's easily the one that is the most glaring. They need a stable, and in saying this, it's not that I don't believe in RJ Harvey. They need a stable, big body back to be able to run some more of this gap scheme.
You mean like a Dameon Pierce type?
You had to say it. You had to say the fucking name. You had to say it. Now I'm mad. Okay.
Well, and it's
now
apropos that
I'm
his
mad.
name is
Now I'm
Damien,
mad.
because that's
Now I'm mad.
another term for Satan, which is what I consider him for choosing the Chiefs over the Broncos. You brain dead moron. Unless we
I
sign.
thought you were going to
Well,
say it was your
in which
nickname
case-
for me. And
Can
I
we
was like,
address
well,
Can we address the Dobbins would have been injured sooner thing? He got injured on a freak, literally like a freak injury. Okay.
absolutely.
The knee stuff in the past, sure. He was having a very good season before all that.
Anybody is getting hurt on that play.
Anybody is getting hurt on that play, and that one sucks. That's an injury that we had a kid deal with the same exact injury, and that was like I remember reading all the injury stuff, and it was like, yeah, they were going to try and have him play with the carbon fiber insert and all that. I had to watch a kid go through that this season, and that's just one that is gross. It's not fun. But to like say like injury prone, come on, man. Like, dude is 25 years old, and like, yeah, it's football, bro. Like, you're gonna get hurt in football. That's gonna happen. I don't know. That just kind of irked me. But yeah, the Damian Pierce thing is fucking ridiculous because he was on fucking claimers, or on the waivers. You could have claimed him.
Yeah,
I'm gonna call him claimers from now on. You're on claimers, bro.
and that's what they are.
Like,
that makes more sense
oh,
anyway.
It's like seeing it come down the line in sushi, and then you're like, I'll get to it later, and then it comes back around, and the table right before you snags it, and you go, oh, damn it! Like,
wanted that spicy tuna roll.
If you wanted the fucking roll, grab the roll. Now you have to wait for it to get. Now you got to wait for it to get made again. And he's not coming off the practice squad. They're not going to let him go off. They're not going to let him go anywhere because they know where he's going to end up. He's going to end up right in Denver's arms. And should he have probably chose to go to the Denver Broncos? Damien.
You mean the best team in the AFC, as we have established throughout the entirety of this show?
Damien.
Bree, anything else that you'd like to add?
Damien.
I'd never heard of a sushi analogy being placed in claimers, and tonight is a first. So I really appreciate that for you both bringing that to the table here. Yes, Mario, I did want to let you know that I have a meeting upstairs with HR, given the things that have taken place over the spread of this show, and filling in for Pat for a while. So I want to bid you adieu. HR is getting an email. So,
thank you,
well, you know what? That's fair.
Love you both. Bye.
Thank you, Bree. You're the best. So, Pat, I know that you are a little bit short on time. You got to prep everything for Thanksgiving. So why don't we put a nice, tidy bow on this show with the greatest segment in all of Denver Broncos sports podcast? Patrick, the Broncos are 9-2, and as I've said throughout the entirety of the show, they are the best team in the AFC, in my opinion. Every other contender is in reality a pretender. None of these other AFC teams scare me. And that's pretty much all that we have covered. So when it comes to set 9-2 football team, that is the best team in the AFC, what have you bricked up?
What has me engorged at this time is the fact that the Denver Broncos are going to be playing some of the best football that we've seen all year. Sean Payton after the bye week is going to be a different monster. And the fact that he's talking about seeding and he's talking about, and thank you, Trig. I listened to his press conference today, and I'm just like, I'm so ready. I'm so ready to see what he comes out with. If he comes out and he pulls the stinker, I'm going to be really bad. But No, I'm just excited. I'm excited to watch this team play good football. I hope that the run game really picks up. I hope RJ Harvey gets like really does get the majority of the carries. Because like I was saying with JK is like, dude, this guy's playing so well, but you're only giving him 15, 18 touches a game. Like your offense could look so much cleaner. But it's like the hotter JK gets, the more you can rotate in RJ and get some of those different looks, and you can wear down defenses. And Sean just like it was just a consistent 15 carries, most of those coming later in the game when when they're trying to just kill clock and stuff. And it was tough. And so I'm bricked up to see what Sean has up his sleeve. I'm bricked up for the fact that we're going to get the best defensive player in football back for this stretch run. That's going to be awesome to see. You think Bidet will rotate in for some action? He had some good. I think we're going to see more Bidet. I think we're going to see some more Bidet for sure.
And there's a reason Bidet has been on starting roster and playing on Sundays over.
Yeah, and he's on he's in on a lot of passing downs and stuff, which is fine. But I think we're going to see some more Bidet run looks. I was on Broncos Country Night before the Chiefs game, and I said, I really like with JK out, like I really just want to see Sean Payton run some more pistol looks. Like he's been doing that here and there this season, but I was like, man, I really just want to see him get some pistol looks with RJ Harvey. And then lo and behold,
you see pistol whips,
pistol looks.
Yeah, but I think you have a little Freudian slip there for a second.
Well, maybe we can get a play called pistol whips in. But Sean is definitely dialed in after bye weeks, and the KC game gave me a lot of hope in what Bo can do if he just settles down and just plays quarterback. He's was telling RJ to you're not a rookie, you're RJ Harvey today, which is corny as fuck. But then it's like, well, we got to see Bo be Bo, and I think that was pretty cool. So.
And if it works for RJ, then it works for him.
Yeah, like whatever. But that's what's got me roaring and ready is just the fact that this team is going to be playing really good football down the stretch. They've got a few really good games against good opponents. The Jaguars are going to be a tough matchup. That defense is crazy good. Trevor Lawrence is just still a dog. So that's going to be a fun game. We're going to go up against the Pack, which is, who knows how that game's going to go, but Jordan Love has not been playing well this year either. So I'm
they're a weird team to figure out.
Yeah, they are a really weird team
to figure out.
I think the Jags issue was they needed to grow. That team needed to grow, and we're seeing them grow more throughout this season. Trevor Lawrence is like, I feel like people do not give him the love that he deserves. That dude is
because they don't watch the
certified
man. And then like you and I
certified dog.
We have talked about on the show repeatedly about how Bo Nix is one of the leaders in the NFL when it comes to drop passes. And the reason that we say one of is because Trevor Lawrence not only is the league leader in dropped passes, but by like a really wide margin. And that has been
not so wide
situation the entirety. Did they close the gap? Well, but that's been an issue the entirety of his career. And it's not that he doesn't throw a catchable pass. He's just been like very unfortunate. And Pat, maybe there are a lot of instances where these passes are being dropped because these receivers think there's no way that he's fitting the ball into this space and it's dropped. Really quick, we had Murph wanted to know, can you explain the logistics of signing a player off another team's practice squad where they have to elevate Dameon Pierce to block that? So basically, had they claimed him, he's going on the active roster. So I think the reason that he cleared claimers, as Pat put it.
Yes. We got through the
They
claimers.
didn't want him on the active roster at that point, which again, I don't think I necessarily agree with. Like Pat said, if you want him, go get him. And they wanted him. They should have gone to get him instead of just waiting to sign him to the practice squad. So now the thing is, if they do want to make that decision because he's only on Kansas City's practice squad, they can sign him off the practice squad, but he would have to be on their active roster. And I think it's something that they should absolutely consider, because not only I think would you be making your team better, and I'm just going to say this. I've been a big Dameon Pierce fan since he was drafted.
Yes.
I thought he had a phenomenal rookie year, and it just seemed like the Texans decided to stop using him. And Pat, for the life of me, I will never be able to understand, because
it had to be some behind the scenes.
There's
no way,
because there's no logistical reason why broken down ass Nick Chubb, who may as well be averaging 2 yards a carry, who is a complete non-factor for Houston, is getting carries over Dameon Pierce. And it's not like the Texans are a poorly run organization they were in the past when Bill O'Brien was calling the shots. Like, they're a good football team. They made a stupid decision. Oh, no, I'm sorry. For some reason, I was thinking they had brought in Deshaun Watson. They did the smart thing by getting rid of Deshaun Watson. That was, but that was when they kind of turned the corner of like, okay, we're going to start doing smart things. So you're right. There has to be some off the field, behind the scenes issues where like maybe he's unbelievably toxic. Because if you're only measuring it based on performance on the field and what he's able to do, he's a really good running back. Let me tell you, Patrick, what has me bricked up.
29 to 26, and it's hard, by the way. 29 to 26. Yeah. Trevor Lawrence Bo Nix drops.
Oh, well, there you go. It's close. They closed the gap. Maybe Trevor didn't have any drops, the past couple Sundays, and Bo had a few. What has me bricked up, and again, it's hard for me to not repeat myself, because I'm excited about mostly the same thing, and I try to think of different ways to phrase it. But what has me the most bricked up is like being on a bye week and not watching the Broncos play football this weekend really gave me a whole new appreciation for where we are right now. Because last season, you and I predicted that it was a 10-win team, despite a lot of people thinking they'd be lucky to win 6, right? But we knew, Pat, like, even though we considered them a 10-win football team, even though we thought they were going to be much better than they were being given credit for, we knew they were not a serious contender. We knew that they were not going to go to Buffalo in the first round and knock them off. And we knew they weren't going to go on any sort of a run.
I was really
It's different this year, though. Now we are in a position of, and I said this earlier in the show, their fate is in their own hands. This isn't like last year where you're having to rely on a couple of teams to lose and a couple of teams to win and you're backing into the playoffs. For the first time since the Super Bowl year, they control their own destiny. They are in the driver's seat and they can go wherever they want to go. And if you don't think that that matters to this team and to these players, then I fear that you may not understand football in general, because that is massive. Because you can focus solely on what is ahead of you. And that is what this team has done so well. They didn't get too low after the losses, Pat. It's like it would have been easy to kind of get down on yourself and throw yourself a little pity party starting the season 1 and 2, especially based on how they lost that second game, how they lost that game in Indianapolis, and really how they lost the game in LA. Like 2 games that they should have won, and they take it week to week. So no matter if it's, it was a big upset win against the Philadelphia Eagles, a game that nobody gave them a chance to win. They turned around, had to go all the way to London, and they still found a way to win out there in London. Didn't get too high, didn't get too low. They blow out the Cowboys, and then they're able to circle back and win the following week once again.
Oh no. He unplugged his internet, folks. Anyways, welcome back to the Coach Pat Show. This is top 5 hilarious, all things. This is top 5 hilarious. Top 5. He just straight up unplugged He straight up unplugged his internet. We watched him do it in real time. Hilarious. All right. What are your questions? Ask away. We got 3 minutes, folks. Come on. Nothing? No one? No questions? Come on. Some of you have to have questions. I like this version of the show better. I can't put comments up on the screen. This is why this is top 5 hilarious. Can't put comments up on the screen. So ask the damn questions. Who's my number 1 wide receiver this week for the Broncos? Is Mahomes cooked? Is Mahomes cooked?
You, David, are you saying you like the version of the show better when I'm not on it?
We watched you
Mike
in real
Carmelini, if you're
time.
still watching, donate $4.99 again and tell David to shut up again. We had gone a long time without any IT issues, Pat. I felt like I was due.
We watched you in real time, Mario, unplug something, and then your internet went out. Top 5 hilarious things.
I plugged it in. I got an alert that my battery was running low because this is a used laptop. I plugged the power cord in, and as soon as I plugged it in, it turned off. So I'm just going to pick up right where I left off. I was saying,
like Boomer. My goodness.
Yep. Well, then so be it. I mean, I'm well versed in the plethora of IT issues. The first show that we ever did was the greatest show of all time that no one ever saw because I didn't press fucking record. Okay, so based on that, I've come a really long way. What I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by my technology, we have seen this team win every sort of way. We've seen the blowout wins. We've seen the come from behind wins. We've seen the gritty wins where they maintain a lead and they hold it off. We've seen wins where the defense wins them games, where the offense wins them games, where the special teams maybe not wins them games, but has a massive hand in it. And that is what I like most about this team. Because the wins that they had last year, and we had discussed this, they didn't beat anyone that they weren't supposed to beat. When you look back at that season, they didn't have that signature win. So what do you do when you are a team that is rebuilding, right? When a coach comes in, Sean Payton's first year, it's like you got to get your guys in. You want to be right around 500, and they were playing 500 football. Yes. Sean Payton's first year. Then you want to take that next step where it's like, all right, you're competitive and you're close and you're winning good football games, but you're not necessarily winning games that you shouldn't be winning, and they didn't. Then you take the next step, which is exactly what they've done. They've won a few games that they weren't supposed to win. I don't think they were supposed to beat the Eagles. They weren't supposed to come back and beat the Giants in that situation. There were people that didn't think they were supposed to beat the Cowboys, and there were a lot of people that didn't think that they would beat the Kansas City Chiefs. In fact, whatever station Adam Rank is on, and shout out Adam Rank because he's my favorite non-Bronco fan of all time, in their little panel, Adam Rank, once again, was the only person that picked the Denver Broncos to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. That is another signature win. We are 11 games into this Broncos season, 3 or 4 signature wins already, and games that they don't win last year, Pat. So
you haven't mentioned the Houston game. You have not mentioned the Houston game, which
that's
I look
really
back at it now. I look back at it now and I say, ooh, I don't know.
That might end up being.
I don't know. That's a pretty big win.
That might end up being their most impressive win in terms of like stakes and how that game was going.
Josh Allen. The way they handled him, my goodness.
It felt bad for Josh Allen in that game, Pat.
But like, what is that?
And you know what'll be the real measuring stick? If Houston turns around. If Houston turns around and they beat the Chiefs, then you will have my utmost attention if you are the Houston Texans and they match up really well. So the bottom line, Broncos fans and Broncos country, I'm bricked up over the fact that this team is consistently getting better every single year that Sean Payton has been the coach. And I'm bricked up that being able to say that they are a Super Bowl contender is no longer hyperbolic. Being able to say that they should win the AFC West and they need to win the AFC West, it's no longer hyperbolic. And I got to say, Pat, considering he was their 4th option Sean Payton has done a really good job as their head coach. Maybe
Dan Quinn
starting to
doing?
look a little bit like perhaps he was their number one option all along.
I'm not gonna get involved in that, but how's Dan Quinn doing? Did you know that the Commanders give up like a third most yards in the league?
From a
Yikes.
defensive minded head coach.
But what does the Texans win say about Bo Nix? In all seriousness, looking back now and seeing what we saw, Haley was like, I feel bad. I feel bad for Josh Allen. He's that
I think a lot of people did.
Got handled. Bo Nix took 1 sack in that game. I don't know. Threw some bad throws.
Different.
Threw some bad throw. He that was a stinker of a game for him as a pass. As a passer.
Pat, the last throw of that game, and it kind of encapsulated the entirety of that game. They run an illegal pick play, gets called OPI. Josh Allen does not even throw to the receiver that play was designed to go to. He had been so shaken up throughout the course of that game that with the game on the line, off of an illegal pick play, he still throws an interception despite having a wide open wide receiver. That is the epitome of seeing ghosts on the field.
Texans defense is real. I do not want to see that team again. I'll tell you that right now. That's a team that scares me. My goodness. But like seeing Davis Mills operate the offense, he looked good. He looked good. That's all I'm going to say.
Davis Mills has always been a really solid quarterback. Pat, thank you for your time. I'm sorry that we had to start without you, but of course, it's always an honor and a pleasure getting to see your gorgeous face. Plug your show with Bree, who obviously was able to join us, and she's always fantastic. Where can we watch Believe in the Broncos?
Believe in the Broncos on the Believe Network, sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. Go check it out. You'll hear the real takes. You'll hear the real takes there. I do not hold back. But yeah. Good show.
Do you hold back here?
No, I don't. I let loose on this show. I get to say bad words and all types of stuff.
You don't have to have that level of professionalism on Altitude Adjustment.
Yeah. I get to say the naughty words.
Really bad words.
Things.
We fill holes on this show.
Real.
And I pantomime jerking off a dick-shaped water bottle.
Wow. Anyways, yes,
and it's okay.
Happy Thanksgiving. We ain't going to the Super Bowl. I mean, yeah, probably not. We're probably not going to the Super Bowl, but like, this is a good team. I'm just saying. Super Bowl.
You know what?
Super Bowl is lofty.
You know what?
Super Bowl's lofty.
You know what? Jimin.
I'll say it. Super Bowl is lofty, but like, this is a team.
We're not going to go to the Super Bowl with that attitude.
If they put it together, who knows?
And, if you're saying that, you don't get to say we. Okay, Jim. If you're saying that,
if they make it,
you don't get to say we. You are not a true Broncos fan if you don't believe deep down that they have a chance at the Super Bowl. And so next time you address this, instead of saying we ain't going to the Super Bowl, why don't you go ahead and say you and the Broncos ain't going to the Super Bowl? Because you are not associated with us and we do not claim you. Coach Sean Payton, can I get an amen?
Gosh, your own little internet shows are driving me crazy.
Crazy.
Oh, Sean, well, maybe we'll get you eventually. Fucking whatever. I'm Mario Vitanzi. That's Patrick Chiodo. We love you. Have a very happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see y'all next week. Okay, love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, feel I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave